Yes. Now here we will going to start first of all understanding each other in terms of me as Ravindra Pandey. Then Anuj sir also will describe himself. Then we'll have a kind of round of introduction where we'll try to understand the technicality. We'll try to understand your previous experiences so that we can answer the questions in that level rather than addressing each and every questions in a no-wise level. Does that make sense? Are you with me?
Yes.
Yes. So, and please do respond because this is how we're going to learn, right? So, unless and until you answer, unless and until you basically reciprocate my question, it's really difficult. And I'm a talkative person, so I can keep, going on talking for hours together. So, please do stop me if you have any questions. You shouldn't wait till the last minute. Whenever you have a question, just ask. Let me worry about the continuous. Let me worry about how to basically come back to track and all those things. Okay, about the schedule of this whole discussion sessions, I normally try to call them discussion session because there are various things even we learn in terms of understanding a new tool. I might learn a new tool with you in case if that's a job, that's included in the job description. And that's how we progressively evolve ourselves. Nobody is perfect. These are all evolving modern tools. These even the tools which are older tools there, they also keep modifying in terms of they change the menu, they change their overall address of the areas, they uplift themselves in terms of combining a couple of more technologies to execute or to do their work more effectively with more area covering and so on and so forth. So this way we need to understand how these tools have been evolved, how these tools to be used at a given circumstances. You might use mission critical project. You might use a kind of cost critical projects where you try to understand a couple of very critical parameters to be tested, to be reviewed for all threat assessment, for all security breaches and all those things. Again, we also need to understand the physical security of it because many of the cyber security expert, they overlook the physical security, which is yes bit trivial rather than the way we look at the complexity of cybersecurity tool. So we'll start understanding with the physical security first. Whenever you create a cybersecurity solution, physical security is normally a part of it, which normally got ignored. We shouldn't ignore such thing, but still it got ignored, and we need to pay a special attention to such scenario, right? Now let's get started. In terms of and please stop me whenever you want to speak, you want to ask any question. Okay, about me, I'm Ravindra Pandey. Let me start the camera also. Could you see me? I couldn't see myself, I don't know why. Okay, Zoom do
Yes.
acts what you can say, Zoom do act strange sometimes, so we need to bear with this guy. I don't know. Okay, you can could you see me? Namaskar. This
Yes.
is Ravindra Pandey, and I have told 20 years, 28 years of experience. I did my bachelor's in computer in 1994, so I'm quite older guy. I did my MBA in finance from Mumbai. I have done my law study. Currently, I'm pursuing LLM. I'm in a final semester in copyright and patents. Copyright patents and cybersecurity overall. So I do consult various organizations on cybersecurity, on building their security operations center. It's called SOC. We're going to study in depth how do you create such a SOC, how you can lead the SOC, how you can be a part of SOC as an auditor, as an analyst, as a reviewer, as a tester, and so on and so forth. These all roles, they normally addressed by a simple scenario. You need to prevent any threats, any penetration to the given organizations, to the given assets. And that's why we need to learn in terms of in-depth understanding of what are the assets, be it a digital, be it a physical asset, and those scenarios. And we'll start with that today. Okay, then I have traveled quite a lot in terms of various different countries to address the corporate trainings and all those things. I'm into corporate training for the last 16 years, so that's what I do. That's my bread and butter. I did a certification in PMI, Agile, PCI, cybersecurity, IOTA, robotics. I'm also part of incubation center in India. It's called Atal Yojana. So I am closely associated with good number of engineering colleges to guide these aspirants on various aspects of robotics, ML, AI, cybersecurity, and so on and so forth. So we'll also discuss how cybersecurity, these tools are being absolute or they are being scrapped, because now operating systems are becoming more and more AI enabled, ML enabled. AI is artificial intelligence, machine learning, where this operating system keep tap up all such repetitive, penetrations on their own. So the usage of securities are now limited to a specific purpose, and that's how we're going to understand what will be the scenario, or rather we will discuss. See, there are things which I can guide you whatever according to my experience, but there are certain things which you need to grasp and start understanding by yourself as well. That's also kind of critical part to it, because unless and until you brush up yourself, might be once in a week, once in a 15 16 days, it depends on you how you progressively learn these things, and these are evolving thought processes, evolving technology. And as we will discuss in a progressive manner what are the other aspects in terms of security aspects we have to consider, like how the operating like Windows 11. I'm using Windows 11 right now. You might be using Linux, you might be using Unix, you might be using Raspberry Pi, or various embedded operating systems which are small operating system, and that we need to learn how we'll basically address all such scenario in a progressive manner, how these operating system are becoming themselves. We're going to learn another operating system called Kali Linux. This Kali Linux is specifically developed operating system for cybersecurity. So it has around 300 plus tools built into it. Why do we need those many tools? Because all these tools are basically created for specific purpose, specific domain, and we need to understand those also. We will not understand all 300 tools. Okay, we are not looking for any development here. We are mostly looking for analyst or auditor type of engagement. But still, in some scenario, we might have a look at some infrastructure understanding. We might have a look at some sort of a technical terminology understanding, and we'll try to keep ourselves from all these development. If you want to learn development, do let us know, and we'll guide you further for that as well. Okay, now there are certain things which are explained by the trainers much better than the way I can explain myself. So I normally play some 5 6 small video during the training, so that we can understand the training, we can have a look at that, and then we'll discuss. The more part of our training is around discussions. So how do you grasp your knowledge? Please keep a pen and paper ready, or try to have certain thing where you can note down which you want to explore more, which you want to basically study more. And these are all personal aspiration, these are all a kind of expert's aspiration as far as cybersecurity goes. This is not a kind of you learn from A to Z kind of training sessions. These are more of discussion sessions, and as I told you, even we learn with you with all these new tools coming to the market, and there are a number of tools which normally comes to the market. We'll basically discuss about the sites, we'll discuss about various enactment, where we normally understand what does cybersecurity means to these guys. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions as of now?
No.
Not right now. No problem. Please, be ready with your question, and you can ask then and there. Now I'll request Anuj Jha, sir. Could you please introduce yourself, sir?
Hi
Anuj, sir.
everyone, good evening.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Am I audible? Am I visible?
Yeah, you are audible, and okay, visibility. Yes, I believe you are visible, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay. Hi everyone, good evening. This is Anuj Jha, and you can call me AJ. So yes, as rightly said by Mr. Ravindra sir, that yes, we rather than the training, we are basically into discussion for this particular session when it comes to cybersecurity and the security assessment of the industry. As you can see, my profile, I have an enriched experience of 12 years into IT and cybersecurity domain, served across basically BFSI domain or the technology or the consultation part of it. Apart from that, I have also worked as a freelancer for from last 3 years and certain trainings in cybersecurity. Uh, as far as the certification goes, you can see into my profile, I have various other certifications when it comes to the technology part of it, be it Cisco, CCNA, ITIL, CEH, CHFI, CEH. We would be along with Ravinder sir. I would be also conducting some session on a few of the topics when it comes to the cybersecurity part of it. That would be more of the technical or the tool analysis discussion. Yeah, that's it from my side. Again, back to you, Ravinder sir. Hello.
Yeah, hello. Pardon me for that. Yes. So let's go ahead. We'll just move on to the overall. We'll discuss agenda here, where we'll try to understand what are we going to cover, and this is not limited to basically where we'll try to understand. Again, I think that okay. We'll try to understand whatever topics we have covered with our previous batches, right? So we had around, I think, 5 or 6 batches with the Guru Schools, where we were trying to understand cybersecurity from, I think, 2020 onwards. And you can have the recordings. There are recordings available in the Zoom as well, mostly released on YouTube as well. And even this video we're going to release on YouTube, so that we can understand in depth how we progressively improving these agendas, including various points additionally to a given contents in a progressive manner, right? Pardon me. So let's start with, first we'll start with understanding security, where we'll understand what do you mean by security on a ground level, on a basic level, where we'll basically even try to understand security at a personal level. How you can be secure. There are various hacks, there are various challenges in terms of smartphone getting hacked, smartphone getting accessed by the persons who really don't have that authorization, but with their persuasion, various trial and error, they normally gain access of your smartphone. How to stop such scenario, right? Then we'll discuss the security in terms of an organizational security or a kind of group security, where we'll try to understand how do you physically secure these things, how do you logically secure these things, and what is the combination of both, what type of processes you need to implement, how these big organizations with various assets, be it data, be it various physical assets, be it even digital currency nowadays, how they keep it secure. We also throw a light on bitcoins. There are a number of digital currencies available. We'll discuss those things after a few sessions, where we'll try to understand how these things are made theoretically. If you want to do practically, there are a good number of recordings available which I can share with you. Then how cybersecurity framework works. What do you mean by cybersecurity framework? What type of operations are we looking for? What type of repetitive periodic procedures we are looking for? Then we'll study a bit about cyber law, fighting units across the governments. Every governments have their own cybersecurity cell. They have a setup of a really great big investments to keep track of their cyber security advancement, their cyber security threats on a progressive level. In North America, US military have invested heavily in cyber security measures in terms of cyber security, day in day out reviews, penetration testing, vulnerability testing, and so on and so forth. We'll understand that those procedures also. Then what do you mean by security operations center? Why it called SOC? SOC is kind of department where every cybersecurity experts work, be it an auditor, be it an analyst. Again, in some companies they might named it differently. They might call it security department or something like that. But still, on a major level, at a corporate level, North America, Canada, they label this department as security operations centers. Okay, then we'll discuss about even remote working also. What do you think remote working in terms of cybersecurity expert? How does it you can explain remote working? How do you set up remote working? Why remote working organizations normally employ a large number of security experts, and we'll discuss those also. And there are current measure in terms of within the COVID, what are the things we have additionally considered or got included in the cybersecurity day-to-day job, and we'll understand those as well. Then we'll after this agenda session, I will really request you to share your expectation, so that we can understand in depth if any particular tool you are looking for to learn, if any particular area you want to explore in terms of job domains, in terms of various job aspirations also. Okay, let me continue. Anybody have any question for me at this moment?
Yes.
Okay, please go ahead if you have any question.
Yes. Are you going to cover pen testing and ethical hacking?
Yes, sir. Definitely. Pen testing is one of the most, important part. It's called penetration testing. So within a
Yes,
given
penetrate.
network, how can somebody external to your organization can penetrate your network? What are the ways and means to stop that? Very correctly said. Great question, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Anybody else have any question? Okay, let me move on. And please do stop me. Please don't wait for me to ask you if you have any question or not. Okay, as sir have asked, vulnerability testing, threat testing. How do you manage the risk? What type of risk we consider in terms of a cybersecurity measures? Every project management normally have a cybersecurity risk para or cybersecurity risk part in their risk management, audits. These are not kind of complete audits, so we have special cybersecurity audit mostly per month basis. So every organization is reviewed, is audited in terms of security measure, in terms of security lapses, what all they've experienced in the last so many days, and so on and so forth. Then we'll understand what you mean by cognitive cybersecurity. Now, in the world of artificial intelligence, machine learning, we do train various machines, various robotics measures to actually address this security up to a great extent. And we're going to understand those, means and ways also. We're going to understand the cryptography, how this cryptography is basically addressed. What do you mean by encryption? What do you mean by triple disk encryption, and so on and so forth. Why one experience is better than another for certain measures, like for banking, like for day-to-day companies like car reservation. I worked with enterprise rent a car for around 3.5 years in St. Louis, in Stamford, in Vancouver. So I'm a kind of great expertise in terms of these automotive domains cybersecurity, which are not technical people, but they do implement these security measures to understand from such experiences how we can explore ourselves, how we can be a better cybersecurity experts progressively. Okay. Then we have classification of cryptography. I just discussed RSA. Okay, let's skip to the attacks now. Now we learn from our mistakes. We learn from the attacks which are happened to us. Like if somebody hit you on the face while walking, next time what you do, either you will carry some sort of instrument, or you basically learn how to block these attacks, right? Now these are what we can say preventive measures. So for all these attacks, all these repetitive attacks, we build some preventive measures. So how do you build a preventive measure for DOS attack, denial of service attack? How do you prevent yourself from database vulnerabilities? And these are basically sequential query language type of attacks. There are specific measures to be taken for every database in terms of making sure uh, any non-registered or unauthorized person shouldn't get access to the database, shouldn't get access to a single table or a single record, right? And that's what we're going to learn. What do you mean by penetration testing? How do you use penetration testing specifically for SQLs, and so on and so forth? Okay. And then the last but not the least, in terms of what are the password attacks, what are different network attacks, we'll understand the history of cyber crime. We also discuss movies on cyber crime also. If you want to share, please do share your experience also, because we learn from our experiences. If you understand your near and dear experiences, you can be more proactive, right? You can initiate some special processes. And that's why we need to work with these all experiences. And that's why history of cyber crimes, we're going to understand a good number of cyber attacks happened, why we consider Russian are dangerous in terms of cybersecurity. That's also we'll understand a couple of groups, why they are normally labeled as black hat groups, unethical hackers, and so on and so forth. We're going to learn these terminologies. What is hacking? What is blue hat? What hat? White hat? This hat? That hat? And there are a number of categorizations within the hackers as well, and we're going to understand those also, because these questions do asked in the interview. We have ample of questions banks for the interview. So whenever let's say 2 weeks or 3 weeks down the line, we'll share this question bank with you, so that you can go on reviewing this question bank. and try to understand how we can prepare proactively on all these, different type of repetitive questions asked in the interview. Again, what I would really suggest you, start attending the RRRP sessions. These are specific sessions who are made available for you by these HR experts to make your profile look a really great sales and marketing document. Believe me, if you consider interview as an obstacle to join an organization, the way I take it, you are really progressing. Your resume is basically a kind of sales document which you share with this interviewer, share with the HR, share with the organization to make them believe that you are a cyber expert. And that's how we need to work on. We have to work on together. Please get sample resume from your coordinator in terms of cybersecurity. Start studying them. Start improving your own profile. If there are any career gap, the HR person or me, we can help you out. But please do keep ready with your question, ready with your inquisitiveness, so that you can learn, you can gain knowledge progressively. We also learn why cybersecurity. What if don't apply any type of security? What will happen? Then what are the various area cybersecurity do cover in terms of web application, product service, mobile games, mobile operating systems, and so on and so forth. Then how do you track cybercrime? Specifically in terms of an organizational consideration. When you consider an organization as an entity, we need to understand what type of cyber attack have that organization faced. Now, when it comes to cybersecurity, as we discussed, physical security also does matter. So if somebody try to break your, let's say, compound wall, try to break a specific wall, or try to dig a tunnel from your ground to the office, we need to understand that as well. And we'll discuss how this is important for cybersecurity, guys, because normally all these security and surveillance comes under the SOC, the Secure Operations Center, and that's why cybersecurity, as a cybersecurity expert, we do need to address such scenario as well. And I hope you can understand what am I saying. Could you understand why physical security is a part of cybersecurity? Anybody can you explain in your own word why we consider physical security is a part of cybersecurity? Give it a try. See, there's no wrong or right here. We are learning, right? We are understanding this. Unless you try, the understanding might be a bit delayed, right? So please put in your efforts in understanding. Put in your efforts in explaining as well. Can anybody give it a try?
Physical security is like network security.
Yes, sir. Rightly said. Network security includes physical security, where your route shouldn't be patched out like you've seen in various movie, right? Somebody insert a Wi-Fi type of devices into the router directly to that RJ11 port. We'll discuss what is RJ11 port. These are the network port available on your laptop, desktop, and all those things. New laptop don't have RJ11 ports here. So these type of sorry, RJ45 is network, RJ11 is the telephone. A specific type. Let me draw it for you here, because I think we have some oh, sorry, I'm not a very great expert in drawing, but let me explain you. This port look like something like this, and these are the pins here on the top. There's a lock here, which is normally go with the cable. When you fix in the cable, you normally get the lock, right? Okay, let me get my drawing tool so that I can draw better. But this is how do you get the idea what is RJ11? Or let me share that okay, let me get that cable and the port next time, so that I can explain you what are the RJ11 and RJ45. So whenever somebody removes that cable from your router, from your computer, that's a kind of breach of physical security first, and then we'll discuss about the logical implementation. So that's why physical security is very important. Very rightly said, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Anybody else want to explain their thought process? No problem. We are also going to understand how do you perform a job role of an auditor, analyst, SOC manager, SOC lead, SOC regional head, and so on and so forth. So we're going to consider a good number of opportunities here, depending upon the job market, depending upon the obstacle clearance ability of yours. You can demand for the salary anyway better than 120K per year. That's a kind of benchmark we have in terms of auditors or the analysts who start as a fresh. with, say, fresh in the sense 3 years of experience or 5 years of experience. Now we need to basically understand these roles, duties, performance, so that you can explain this thing with the full confidence to the interviewer. Okay, and this is how we're going to progress in a kind of our own learning for that matters. Okay, now as you can see on the I'll close my video here. As you can see on the presentation, we're going to start with overall threats. What type of threats, how do we categorize that? But before that, I would really like to have a kind of your understanding or understand your expectation, what all you want me to include in terms of all these discussions, in terms of all these learning. And even sometimes if I don't know, I'll prepare them and we'll discuss them. The end of the session is not the perfect day what we have planned. We have a plan of around 8 to 10 weeks overall, but still we might go extra, we might have extra session. These are really interesting topic if you ask me, because whenever you start understanding security, a new era altogether, a modern tools and technology altogether, it's really an evolving thought process. You keep learning, you keep advancing yourself, and that's the beauty of these things. You never get bored, believe me. If you got bored in this, then that's a kind of difficult scenario. How to remove that? Let me take a minute. Okay, clear all drawings. Okay, thank God. So yes, even I'm learning. So I learned how to draw without my drawing pad. I have a tablet where I normally draw, and you can see it on a screen, but I couldn't see that tablet right now, so it's a difficult thing. But yeah, I believe I can show the actual even physical thing like a router, a modem, these cables, and we have to understand this different set of different repetitive tools we use in cybersecurity. This is not being technical, this is being explorating, this is being learning more day by day, learning progressively. Okay, so yes, let's start from Andy. Andy, could you please share what are your expectations from cybersecurity? Why do you choose a cybersecurity as your learning branch, or learning things for the next few weeks? Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pandit.
Sure.
Yeah,
You can call me Ravindra, sir. Please go ahead.
okay, sorry. Okay, I choose to follow cybersecurity course because I came from engineering background, civil engineering background,
Wow.
and yes, and I thought we were going to start doing connectivity, like configuration or something like that. But I didn't know that we're just going to be like analyst role of just talking about it. So
Great.
are we going to do configuration or yes?
Okay, great. Cybersecurity analyst is a great starting way. Here we might learn, let's say, 6, 7, access based tools, 6, 7, vulnerability based tools, and so on and so forth. And some of the scanners, which is normally used in the industry, specifically in North America and Canada. So we're going to learn.
Yeah, because from what I saw, I knew that you have cybersecurity engineers, you have cybersecurity architect, then you have cybersecurity analysts. So
Yes.
are we gonna touch all those roles, all those positions, like to know, okay, if you become an engineer and this is what you're supposed to do. If you become an architect, this is the area you're supposed to be working, and if you are an analyst, this is the area you're supposed to work.
Great.
So from your experience, I know you are not an engineer or architect. From your experience, which is the best role to take that is faster and easier to understand?
I think cybersecurity auditor or cybersecurity analyst is the answer to start with, and slowly, steadily, within let's say 3 years down the line, you can be a manager, cybersecurity manager. You can be a cybersecurity consultant, which normally get paid on hourly basis. You can work from your home. You can analyze some security. You can analyze some specific organizational, physical locations, some specific networks, and basically get paid on hourly basis how much hours you spend on a particular work. And that's how we can be a kind of independent consultant, as we call. And for independent consultant, you need to build a brand, right? You need to create a brand by yourself as a cybersecurity expert, and we'll work towards that as well.
Okay.
Sure. Does that all, Andy?
Yes, thank you for now. We're still going on. So
Yeah, and
I
please
think
keep asking questions whenever you feel like, you have certain confusion, certain difficulty. Please keep asking questions. Okay.
all right,
Yes, Jason,
thank you.
please go ahead.
Ravindra sir, I would like to add one line to that statement, what Andy has asked.
Uh-huh. Please go ahead,
Yeah.
sir.
So, Andy, in cybersecurity world, actually, when it comes to security part, so they are basically divided in three levels. So, now usually we use a term called uh, three lines of defense. So, when it comes to cybersecurity part, as rightly said by Ravindra sir, that the best profile to go ahead with this is cybersecurity auditors. So, auditors are actually the third line of defense in the organization. First line when it comes to the IT team, who are the
Analyst.
actual executioners whenever it comes to the IT part of it. They just set up the IT environment for any of the organization. Then there is the infosec or the risk management team. So infosec
SOC.
is the second line of defense, information security you can say. So they actually reviews the work which is done by the IT experts. The third line of defense, it comes to the cybersecurity expert or the auditors or the assessor, analyst, whatever you can call them. So
Sure.
these auditors or the cybersecurity auditors actually reviews the work of both the teams, IT team and the information security team. So that is the third line of defense, and it is independent of any of the other team. When it comes to the organization, auditors normally directly report to the management. It has no role. It is not part of any of the team. They are neither part of IT nor part of the information security. So it has direct interaction with the management or the CEO team when it comes
Let
to
me
the
explain that
interaction.
in detail. Yes, let me explain that in detail. Now, normally what happens, every organization have a cybersecurity team. They call it SOC or they call it InfoSec, as Jason said. So the label are synonymous. Let's not go into that. Now, in these organizations, they have various levels to start with. You can start if you're a fresher or if you have a little experience, let's say 3 to 5 years, you normally start as an auditor or as an analyst. Now, what auditor does, you normally audit these output of these tools. So output will send you a log, a kind of text file, Excel sheet or image, and you normally analyze that, you normally analyze that thing in the category of 1 to 10. How serious is the threat? How serious was the penetration tryout, and so on and so forth. There are analysts who normally analyze whatever you escalated to the seniors. And these analysts work with a kind of infosec manager or SOC manager who have basically a great number of say in terms of how you can address this threat proactively, increasingly with improved intensity, how we can nullify this threat, how we can make sure if somebody tries to do that way, he or she will fail in terms of hacker, in terms of a guy who is trying to penetrate your network, might be physical, logical, database, or various tools and techniques, or even email accounts for that matter, social accounts, Facebook, Twitter, and all those things. Rather, maximum cybersecurity analysts specifically targeted to the organizational social networking prevention, social network attack prevention, and so on and so forth. Because nowadays, every organization have to maintain the social face, right? They have to be, on the Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, this up, that down, and all those things. So we need to maintain that penetration also. So if somebody has Twitter accounts, for that matter, which happened quite a few times just in the past few weeks, right? We had a good hack throughout the Twitter accounts in specifically the North American, the Western North America region, the California Twitter, data center. We're going to understand data center also. Why we need data center? What do you mean by disaster recovery? And these are all things which are included part of the cybersecurity team. And there are
Sure.
various other nook and corners which we understand. Now, to build a hierarchy, somebody might have auditor reporting to analyst or analyst reporting to auditor, this reporting to manager, and we're going to understand these different hierarchy as well. It's a part of
Okay.
learning. It's a part we explore ourselves in a progressive manner.
Thank you.
Okay, does that solve confusion, or have I confused you more? Please
No, no,
stop me,
no.
I'm a talkative. Please go ahead, sir.
Yes, I'm understanding it right now.
Okay, no problem. But yeah, we will keep learning, and I'll share the recording also so you can review these things. If you have any questions, I could be contacted on WhatsApp, and I'm ready to answer your confusion. If not, then we can discuss the through session as well. Okay?
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sir, Jay sir, please go ahead, sir. Please, your expectation.
Yes, my name is Jay, and I'm a technical person. I have
Wow.
good knowledge of networking.
Mm-hmm.
So I see from last couple of years that is cybersecurity is an exciting field.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm
More
interested.
enabled, I can say. Very, very correctly said.
Yeah.
And we'll need to you to share your experience as well, sir, because that's how we learn. There are certain things which you
Mhm.
have worked on, I might not have worked on. So how do you address that challenge, that problem, is the most important part to learn here. These are all practical scenarios we are going to discuss. Yes, we need to know theory as well, but these discussions were morely of a practical nature. As you can see, we are all these attacks are practical attacks, right? Be it malware, be it phishing, and we're going to discuss each of these to understand. And that's the aim of today. We'll understand the different type of attacks we face, and these attacks you can look it from a personal angle as well. Okay? Yes, sir. Please go ahead, Jay, sir. Sorry for talking in between. So what do you expect? What
Um, that,
do you have in terms of what do you want we to discuss in terms of some specific tools, specific topics? Please do let us know.
Particularly, I'm interested in more on real world experience, practical experience.
Wow. Okay. Good.
While you-
Uh-huh. Just
And
to good, good.
I want to get started in cybersecurity with from basic
Right.
job.
Great,
Like
great.
just you explain like an analyst
Right, sir.
or auditor.
Mhm. That's
That's
great.
the main.
Just to explain to everybody, VMware is a tool used for virtualization. What is virtualization? Within one physical computer, you can have many computers running through as a different operating system, different computer itself, logical computer. Like when you attach with a cloud service provider, like Google Cloud, Amazon Cloud, Rackspace Cloud, there are so many cloud server providers. In good old days, we used to purchase computers from a market where we might have a desktop or a server. Nowadays, you do it on the internet and you have something like logical servers. Now, tools like VMware make it very easy to have many logical computer on a one computer, or many physical computer can be treated as a one computer. This is what the virtual computerization or cloud computing is all about. We'll discuss cloud computing and various services which we normally enable via this cloud as well. Okay, not in depth, not in various technical nature in terms of how do you create a server, how do you create or how do you install VMware and all those things. If you want, we can discuss that as well. Okay, but in a larger scale, on an overview level, we'll understand how we use these things, how these things can be a threat, or what are the extra precautions we need to make sure whenever you move to this online world, you move to this virtual world. Okay, that's really great, pointer, sir. Thank you, thanks a lot. Um, are you completed, sir? Jay, sir, do you have anything to add?
Yeah. No. I'm done.
Sure, sure. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Jason.
Thanks.
Antara ma'am, could you please go ahead? Antara Das ma'am, could you please share your thought process, your expectation, please?
Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Ma'am, your volume is quite low. Could you increase your volume, please? Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, please go
Hello.
ahead. We can hear you. Please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
So, what are your expectation from these sessions, from this training course? Am I having problem?
Uh,
Yeah, please go ahead, ma'am.
yeah. Actually, I need to know what is the daily work for the analyst, for the cyber security analyst.
Uh-huh. What are the day-to-day duties he or she do?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure, ma'am. We'll discuss that.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, it's okay.
Great. This is really great expectation. What I'll be doing after, I'm grabbing a job. What do I do in terms of on a regular level? And we do have project supports as well, or what you can say on-site support. So whenever you start working, we are there with you in terms of if you have any challenges, if you want to learn any tool also. So if there's any new tool, any organization using, this is a possibility, right? And for that matter, we might learn those tools, we might analyze those tools together, and we build our notes. So whenever you go on the next day, you might start working as if you're using that tool, or you use that tool with a full confidence. That's the intention. That's why we have this project support, and we're going to work together for next good number of months. So that's why please try to understand, try to get synced up here. Like, how do I speak? How do you speak to me? This is really important to sync ourselves as a friend, as a colleague. And that's what I would request you humbly to please keep talking, be talkative, be in a discussion mode. See, learning happens whenever you repeat these things. Whenever we talk, we normally have around 32% of a grasp. This is what psychologists say. Whenever we write down, we have around 75% of a grasp in terms of those knowledge basically absorbed by our mind. So that's why please take your note. Please do write questions. Please do discuss in depth. And that's what I will help you out. Really great expectation, ma'am. Thank you. Miss, do you have any additional questions or expectation, ma'am?
No, sir, I am good. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Andra, ma'am. Sure. We done with Andy, Anush sir. Yeah, Paul sir, could you please share your expectation? I'm normally going, the way I see the name on the screen. Please don't, feel like, I should take this one first and that one first. We are all together, okay? And as, Jay sir said, he don't want to call or refer as a sir. Same here also. You can call me Ravindra, and I can call you with the first name. Again, nothing towards to insult anybody, but this is how in North America or Canada we do work on a one-to-one level. So please call me Ravindra. I'll be happy to address all your queries and questions. Paul sir, could you please go ahead? Yes.
Yeah, sir. Yeah, you can call me Paul. So basically, yeah, I do have over 10 years experience in IT, and
Wow.
some experience with InfoSec too.
Wow, good.
Yeah, so basically, I'm trying to get into the IT auditing side.
That's really great. That's really great. We'll also share, various instances, whatever we learn, how, there was a breach of security, be it a physical or logical, and we'll try to differentiate that as also. And as, Antara ma'am have said, we'll create some sort of a thought process, how me as an artist address to this concern, right? Because every person have their own experiences, have their own ways and mean to address things. Be it a day-to-day problem, like, car won't start, be it something like my router gets restarted every hour or so. So these type of problems we do solve, and we need to share such experiences. We learn from each other's experience also, and that's how we work as a team. Please keep discussing among ourselves. We have special WhatsApp group specifically for ourselves. Please don't worry, I shouldn't ask this, but please be vocal, and this is how we learn effectively. This is how we learn progressively. Really great, sir. Thank you. Anything to add, Paul?
No, that should be it.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Shilpa ma'am, could you please go ahead?
Yes, hi Ravindra. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Yes, so I come from telecom background, and I have about 14, 15 years of experience in that, and I'm at the point where I want to change career. And cybersecurity seems interesting, so I'm here to learn cybersecurity, all about it, and hopefully get placement and some support for that. Yes.
Yes. I'm with you. We are going to do it together. So yes, that's specifically telecom department. Why I say wow, I'll just share with you. Telecom department, banking department, these are the most affected or affected departments, or affected domains, as we can say, specifically from cybersecurity perspectives, because these guys normally get the maximum attack. Banking and telecom are the most what you can say lucrative things for all these cyber hackers or ethical hackers or non-ethical hackers and all those things. So that's why the maximum attack or penetration tries are normally happened on these two domains. And then there are others as well. See, we are not here to kind of criticize anybody or try to compare one domain with another, but still we need to understand the occurrence, and this is basically knowing the history in a progressive manner. That's really great. Anybody I have missed out? I don't think, but still, anybody I have missed out? Shilpa ma'am, have you completed your expectation, or do you want to add something?
No, I'm done, and you can call me Shilpa.
Sure, thank you. So let's start with one-on-one, and if anybody's have problem, please do let me know. This is not to disrespect anybody, but to basically be on an informal and kind of one-on-one level, rather than specifically putting anybody out of the what you can say more informally referencing and all. Okay, so let's go ahead on the one-on first name basis. Okay, you can call me Ravindra and I'll be happy to answer all your queries here. Now, let's start with understanding in terms of how these attacks, or what you normally called as a cybersecurity threats. Okay, threat in the sense a possibility of attack. I'm a legal person career-wise as of today, so there are many legal explanation of these singular word understanding is very important in our profession, specifically when you work with lawyers, when you work with various judiciary people. And that's why for me every word have its own separate identity, own separate description, right? Cyber threats in the sense all the threats which we can occur whenever you use a cyber, when you use web, when you use internet, or whenever you use any digital parameter for that matter. So that's why understanding cyber threats is a kind of first step towards starting learning of cybersecurity. That's how I feel. You might feel differently, and we'll come to that also in a minute or so. But let's try to understand what are these different things. The middle person is normally depicted as a a kind of IT person who knows about all these different ways and means to crack, to reach to a person's assets one way or the another, or we can call it as a thief. Somebody who takes something from you unknowingly is a thief. Be it your brother, mother, daughter, siblings. We normally don't refer that way in Indian context, Indian culture, or Indian upbringing concept. But when it comes to North America or Canada, the culture clearly depicts anything you take, even from your mother without telling her, your father, your siblings, that's a theft. Okay, because North America and Canada are basically the way the culture have been shaped, the culture have been evolved to an individualistic level. So every individual have their own assets, their own ownerships, or shared ownership type of scenario. So whenever somebody tries to take something from you without informing you, that's a theft. Be it something like trying to use your mobile to have a look at a new game. Yes, that's a theft. Anything physical or logical. Somebody gains an access, somebody uses, somebody consumes is a thief. And that's a generic definition we are talking about. This is how the legal act have been shaped up. So when it comes to analyzing things, we need to start here. Anything anybody takes without consent is a thievery, is a theft. Does that clear to everybody? Anybody want to share their thoughts? This is above and beyond culture. This is how the North America and the Canadian legal system works. Okay, so let's try to understand one after another. For the thing, let's go anti-clockwise. Malware. Now, what is malware? Some program which can perform maliciously, can give access of your asset to somebody else. This is what we normally call malware. In a typical IT world, in a typical computer world, whenever somebody gives you a game which lets the other person gain access of your smartphone, desktop, laptop, palm top, and whole digital instrument, is normally called as a malware. Normally, there are great, malware attacks in the past, something like a Trojan horse. Everybody might have heard this thing. Who haven't heard a Trojan horse or Trojan horse virus? You heard of it, right? So yes, Trojan horse, I'll just explain it again to refresh our memory. Trojan horse is a virus which is normally distributed with a software, a kind of patch to the operating system. And there was a great instance in 2019 of getting a Windows patch delivered with a malware. This malware used to give access to the directory, number of files present in a root directory. That was a specific malware attack. And these details are normally shipped back to the provider with a list of files on the root. We'll try to understand how this helps the hacker to access these files as well. But predominantly what we are looking for, gaining an access without a consent. So it's a thievery and it's punishable by law. A typical malware attack is punished within North American as well as Canadian context with a punitive measure as well as arrest or long-term jail. Long-term in the sense more than a year. Again, depending upon the state enactment, these timelines as well as punitive measure do change. These punitive measures, punitive in the sense the fines, fine you need to pay to the federal government or the state government. These punitive measures depend on the damages done to the party as well. Again, depending on the actual scenario, you can basically deduce an amount as a fine, deduce a jail term as a another punitive measure also. And this is how this enactment is in place both in the Canada as well as North America. So this is what we try and say malware. So malware is a software which tries to give some access to the hacker or access to a bad person on a specifically either a digital instrument or to a digital asset. That's how the enactment defines malware. Does that make sense? You don't have to remember this definition, but you can create your own answer in terms of how you can explain malware. Does that make sense, or am I confusing you? Are you with me here?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. No problem. Now let's move to the phishing. Phishing is the most what you can say used threat or most used instrument in today's modern world. What is a phishing? Somebody sends you a message. Message is normally a text transfer happened between the two digital entities. Now, even a messaging service like WhatsApp is normally encrypted at least 2 levels. We'll learn about this encryption and how these messaging get secure. But still, a messaging, if somebody sends you a message, you have won 5,000 rupees lottery of such and such region. Please click on this link. And a normal non-technical user clicks on that link. So you land on a web page where the web page starts some sort of scripting running on your laptop, desktop, whatever you're using, even a smartphone for that matter. And it tries to gain an access without your consent with either some data or starts transferring some files from your device to his or her device. And this is how the normal phishing attacks work in a day-to-day life. Normally, phishing is used maximum by all South African hackers to send a mail, like you won a lottery or you have been selected so much months of free service of Netflix, so much of free service for of Amazon Video, and so on and so forth. So even that type of phishing does help in a day-to-day world. And the user clicks on a couple of links, download certain software, run it on your desktop and laptop to give access to them. Again, another way of phishing, somebody calling, hey, hey person, I'm so-and-so, I'm with the so-and-so card department. Now, we filed there's an irregularity in your payment. So let me help you out in basically negating those things, or, then you don't have to pay these fine, that fine. Could you please click on this link and fill out some detail? He might ask you to fill out details like your bank username or card CVV number and so on. So And this type of phishing is very famous among North American, credit card user, because many of the persons who got credit card number, the CVV, the expiry date on your card by such calls or such emails, and they get access to your credit card account. And these credit card accounts, they can purchase on behalf of you and get those or consume those things which are purchased by them. That's why phishing is one of the most common low level attack. Normally we don't have bigger financial damages here, but the damages are up to 5 to 10,000 at the max. There are instances of bigger damages like $1.5 million and all those things, but those are really far and few. The more repetitive phishing limits themselves up to gaining access to about $5,000 to $10,000 max as in damages to the party on which they are targeting. Phishing can be targeted, even malware can be targeted to a specified resource. So we're going to understand this thing in terms of how do you stalk a person. What do you mean by stalking? That's also we'll learn in a couple of slides. Then we have password attacks. What is a password attack? Try to understand your password. See, username whenever you type is easier for everybody to read. So anybody standing on your shoulder or standing in your back can read your username. But when it comes to password, these are kind of personal to us, right? Whatever password I choose, depending upon my attitude, my learning, my experience. But normally whatever password we choose, specifically if you look at, let's say 6 or 7 year older type of attack, password attacks were quite common. Nowadays they've prevented password attack up to around 95 to 98%. These are the findings of North American governments. Okay, and I'll share those government link also where this data is normally getting published. Now when it comes to password attack, the specifically federal government in North America initiated good number of measures so that all the banking vendors, all the e-commerce vendor have been forced to implement a password policy of minimum 8 length, use a capital and small letters, use of at least one number and one special character. Now this is how we have restricted password creation by the user to a certain restrictive parameter, which have reduced password attack to very minimum now. Unless until the other person, the password can't be guessed, right? Because either password can be your birthday with hash with year number, or your kid name with hash or @ or any special character with the year number, and these are the standard password given. So to guess a password, if you know a person, you can easily guess the password. Now, as we normally use so many digital services, we might have so many passwords, and we can crack any one of them if you know the username by either stalking or following that person one way or the another. You might you might try out a couple of passwords, and if you can guess those passwords correctly, you can get access to their digital asset. It can be something like bank account, it can be something like their Netflix account. There are various authorization authentication can be accessed with this password attack. Again, how to prevent that we'll also learn in the detail, but right now please use the standard password parameter. Your password should be at least of 8 as in length, and we have proven psychologically like 8 is the length where humans start complicating in terms of understanding or analyzing those textual words, right? So that's why 8. On top of that, we have mixed that with a number, capital and small alphabet, and a special character. So these 5 what you can say security measure applied to a password can make your account almost impenetrable. It means that nobody can get access to your account unless you give them a password by yourself. And there's a policy of changing this password every 3 months as in standard North American organizational measures adopted, best practices. And that's how even if somebody guesses your password and you change your password, it means that that person couldn't get access to your digital asset. That's why we need to build ourselves in terms of changing password at least once in a 3 months. For a banking, I'll suggest at least once in a month. or anything which you feel critical to you, which you feel near and dear to you, please keep changing those passwords, multiple times. Or whenever you feel like, this guy might have, seen the password I have typed. You might be, working in your office. You might be working in the metro. You might be working in the, let's say, airport, and somebody might have seen you typing this password. And you might have to change the password again. Please do that as soon as you can. Okay. Then there's any questions on password attack as of now?
Yes, I just have a contribution.
Please, sir, go ahead.
I think instead of changing passwords every now and then, you can do multi-factor authentication.
Right, sir. Very right. That's a new advancement by banking industry after a lot of deliberation. Because this is what happens, right? You are typing your banking password, your cousin might be standing beside you, and he might have guessed your password. He might not use your account to withdraw anything, but he might try to access your account from some place where he might get an idea of your financial situations, right? And this thing he might do at a good heart, but while he or she is typing that password, somebody else was stalking him or her and get access to your account. Now that person doesn't care about you, right? So he might deduct some amount or move some money from your account to his or her account, or some stray account, might be in a Timbuktu, or an account in, let's say, any part of the world for that matter. So that way. And that's how we need to prevent, or that's how North American Banking Association have came up with at least 2-factor or a 3-factor validation for your access. So they have a kind of username, password. They have an OTP. They also have something like cubes, or what you can say, the captcha, right? So these are level 3. So these are 3-level authentication. We're going to learn about these levels of authentication, levels of encryption, and then we'll understand how and why these processes have been implemented in that way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. We're going to study these things in detail. Anybody else want to share their thoughts? Anybody have gone through either malware, phishing, or password attacks? Anybody have loosened any monetary values? Great. We are lucky team. In the last sessions, in the last batch, we have 2 ladies who have been robbed by $1,500 and one with $3,000. And this is while she was shopping on Amazon, and she used to keep huge amount in that Amazon Pay account, right? You have an Amazon Pay account. Or the other lady was using, I think, Paytm or PhonePe or something like that, where she used to keep the amount ready to use in that wallet. Now these digital wallets are also giving rise to different access threats, or different threats to all our hard-earned money to be used by person whom we don't normally give the money for free use or something like that. So that's why we need to understand, as a learning altogether, we have to understand how we can make ourselves also secure. And these are kind of life skills we are talking about. Okay, let me go further. Then there is something called denial of service attack, DOS attack. How does this denial of service attack works? Well, you have created a web page where, let's say, you are a news agency, or you are something like a video blogger, like a YouTube blogger or something like that. And all you earn depends on the visits of your clients, depends on the visit on your page by the users. And this is how you normally gain your revenue, right? For all such scenario, if somebody try to block your site by some program where your server might feed, like, I'm already connected with so many number of users, because your site is ready to serve, let's say, 5,000 users at a single instance. And if that software, and there are software available like that, who can create a virtual 5,000 user and hit your server as a request to share the data, share the web page and all. Now in this scenario, the next user might get a message, the server is not available, server is busy. And this type of things are normally called as a denial of service attack, because that genuine user genuine user where I can generate my revenue is not available to able to access those blogs, those YouTube videos, or anything like that, and that's why the revenue is not coming to me. And these kind of denial of service attack were quite common in the late 2010, 25, and so on and so forth. But now they have been reduced because now all these servers have enabled with the tools to check for all such logical user querying your website. And we're going to understand how we can prevent DDoS attack in a real life scenario, or how we can assess the threat of denial of service, who are basically enabling so many logical users usage to a given service. And I'll guide you a couple of site how you can test this thing as well on a live scenario, and you can try it on your own also. It's not very difficult. If you we're going to understand Kali Linux as well, where we have good number of such tools available for denial of service attack. You can start such attacks, but again we need to basically run this attack on a specific designated computer. If you run anything outside those computers, you might be prosecuted, you might be charged with some fine. There's no criminal offense included in DDoS, but there are punitive damages, financial cost to be recovered from you. So whatever we do on a hands-on experience, we need to limit to some computers, and that's what we're going to learn whenever we do our hands-on experience. There are lots and lots of hands-on experience we're going to talk about in terms of our progressive learning. Does anybody have any questions as of now on any of these things? Okay, I'll take it as a no. Let me go. Jay, do you have any question for me?
No, I'm fine.
We are good, right? Okay, thank you. Now let's talk about man in the middle. These are also called as an agent hack. What do you mean by agent hack? There's an agent, let's say you put your house on sale, and there's an agent who is a kind of middleman working with quite a few number of clients. And some of the clients normally rather than paying big amount to you, they pay big commission and try to get the access to the property by illegal means. So these are called agent frauds or man in the middle frauds. These are quite common in digital scenarios as well. Let's say there's an agent who is creating some governmental applications for you, and there are some fees in terms of to be paid to the government, and that middle person asks you some exorbitant amount, and you might have paid to that because you don't know the exact fee which the state or federal government asking for that application. And this thing is quite common among specifically the students, specifically the job aspirants as well. So we need to be really careful in terms of such agent. Please do check on a specified site, on a genuine site, about the fees they charge, about the fees the agent should charge you, and so on and so forth. Now, normally in North America and Canada, there are some government information portals where all such amounts have been clearly mentioned. Only you need to get to those accessing those sites within time, before paying to any agent. Okay, now these are quite low level attacks as we call, because the punitive damages are quite on a lesser side. Then drive-by downloads. There could be some different label to this as well. What do you mean by drive-by downloads? Say you're let's say you're traveling in a plane, and this other person's tell you, hey, this is a really new game, or this is a new software where you can try out dressed virtually. And yeah, this was a real case whenever one of the a great high net worth individual was robbed of his good amount of money while traveling on the plane itself. A person boarded a plane of a flight from Chicago to Phoenix or to Houston, I believe. I don't remember the exact case, but that person has befriended with a lady on the flight from, it was around, I think, 2.5 hour flight. And the other person, the lady, showed him, oh, this is really great tool to download on your smartphone, and you can try different outfits, different clothes, and the tool will show you how you look like in those colored clothes, and so on and so forth. Or even how mustache will look like, how a kind of a kind of what you can say, white color or black color wig will look on you and so on and so forth. And he downloaded that software. In that software, there was a malware embedded. And that malware have retrieved his banking information. This was, I think, in 2013 or 2012, where that banking information is accessed by the other person. Before they land, the other person have grabbed around, I think, some 20 or 30K from that account, and then that persons have vanished from the earth. And this is actual happen. This is what we call drive-by download. So if somebody suggests you to download something with a IP address type of link, with a number link, with a link which you can read or which you believe is not trustworthy, please don't download anything from any random site, any random numeric site, any random number. That can be a very harmful scenario to you as well, because we all use some access to our banking accounts from your smartphone. Now, of course, we have 2-level authentication, 3-level authentication, as we just discussed. But still, why to let user gain access to number of these levels? They might gain access to first level, then they might try for second, might try for third, and so on and so forth. So please don't use your banking information on a public network. That will be my suggestion. And we'll learn about these type of attack in depth, how they have made, what terminology is involved in all such attacks, how we can evolve or how we can enable ourselves to prevent all such cybersecurity risks, as we normally call them. So what are the risks? Risk are the chances we take with our finances, with our any asset for that matter, be it a digital or logical. You park your car by the side of road just to save a couple of minutes, and then there was this big crash truck scrap by it. You might lose a couple of thousand in repainting or rebuffing your car, right? So in such scenario, let's not do anything in haste. Think it through what you are doing, how we can solve this challenge in terms of doing it at a last minute kind of scenario. Then mal advertising. We talk about the lottery tickets. There are some mal advertisement like, please, great job offer, and you don't have to pay anything for the next 2 weeks for your resume update. Please enroll, and so on and so forth. And when you enroll, they say, okay, please download now this application to your smartphone, which will give you minute by minute update. Any update on our side, you should get proactively. Even there were a scenario in YouTube's, basically, if you publish your video, we'll make sure you'll have 10,000 users in the next hour if you pay us, let's say, $200. And this type of mal advertisement is very common, specifically in North America, specifically in highly digitized area like the western region, specifically Seattle, California, LA, and all those things, or the eastern sea coast, specifically New York, Boston, and other regions, where all these guys are basically getting lured by such attractive advertisement to save a couple of dollars. Please don't succumb to these scenario unless and until you know the vendor, unless and until you know the site if somebody else is using previously. So we need to stop ourselves in trying new things or taking new risks in terms of cyber era. And that's what I want you to basically keep understanding or keep reviewing your actions every now and then. Then this kind of rogue software. What is a rogue software? Altogether, software which you have installed can give access to anybody and everybody for a certain amount of time. These things do happen. There were programs who let even Google main server access for almost 33 minutes. And this has happened because somebody have installed a patch for Oracle database for their user access. And we're going to learn how these things do happen. Why do you have a database stored in something like Oracle? When it comes to something like US military, American banks, even Google, YouTube, these are highly critical or mission critical site. They have a user base in the range of billions and billions. Now these sites, if you can get access to this user base for a few seconds, you can grab those username, password, And well, we will discuss about the major, how they have stopped that as well. But yes, there are a good number of instances how they have broken the encryption, how they have broken the two-level encryption as well to gain access of a data of a Twitter. This was in 2019, and they have gained an access of around, I think 600 600 thousand users data from a Twitter. They could be able to download the username, password, and the phone numbers. This is how things happen in a real world. So first we need to make sure to prevent ourselves in falling prey to such scenario. Now let me share you a video, a kind of, I believe, 10 to 12 minutes video, where we'll try to understand from another trainer how he or she thinks is the best way to explain or to start a cybersecurity career. Okay, I'm pausing there.